My sister stole my boyfriend of 5 years, married him in secret, and now they're asking me to be their surrogate because she's infertile. My parents think I should get over it for the sake of having grandchildren. I, 29F, never thought I'd be writing this post, but here I am, seeking advice from internet strangers because my life has turned into a soap opera. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. 5 years ago, I was happily in a relationship with Tom, 31M. We had been together since college, and I thought we were on track for marriage and a future together. Tom was kind, funny, and ambitious, everything I wanted in a partner. We had talked about our future, discussed wedding plans, and even picked out names for our future children. I was living my dream. Enter my sister, Sarah, 27F. Sarah and I were never particularly close growing up. She was always the problem child, rebellious, attention-seeking, and constantly in trouble. Our parents spent most of their time and energy trying to keep her on track, which often left me feeling overlooked. But as adults, we had reached a sort of truce. We weren't best friends, but we were cordial and could be in the same room without fighting. About 3 years into my relationship with Tom, Sarah went through a bad breakup. She was devastated and turned to me for support. Being the good sister I am, I invited her to stay with Tom and me for a few weeks while she got back on her feet. Looking back, this was the beginning of the end. At first, everything seemed fine. Sarah was grateful for our help, and Tom was his usual kind self, offering words of encouragement and support. But as the weeks turned into months, I started noticing little things. Lingering glances, inside jokes, and a growing closeness between my sister and my boyfriend. I tried to brush it off as paranoia. After all, Tom loved me, and Sarah was my sister. They wouldn't betray me like that, right? Wrong. One day, I came home early from work to find them in a compromising position on our couch. The very couch where Tom and I had cuddled and watched movies countless times. The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. I screamed, I cried, I threw things. Tom tried to explain, saying it was a moment of weakness, but I couldn't hear it. Sarah, on the other hand, didn't even try to apologize. She just stood there with a smug look on her face. I kicked them both out that day. Tom begged for forgiveness, but I was done. Sarah, true to form, told me I was overreacting and that these things happen. I cut off contact with both of them and tried to piece my life back together. For 2 years, I focused on myself. I threw myself into my career, started therapy, and slowly began to heal. I even started dating again, though nothing serious. I thought I was finally moving on. Then, last month, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. To my horror, it was for Tom and Sarah's wedding. They had been dating in secret for the past 2 years and were now getting married. The invitation felt like a slap in the face, a cruel reminder of what I had lost. I didn't attend the wedding, of course. My parents went, though. They tried to convince me to go, saying it was time to forgive and move on. But I couldn't bring myself to watch my sister marry the man I had planned to spend my life with. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Last week, my parents invited me over for dinner. When I arrived, I found Tom and Sarah there as well. Before I could leave, they dropped a bombshell on me. Sarah is infertile. Apparently, she has a condition that makes it impossible for her to carry a child. And now, they want me, yes, me, to be their surrogate. They said I was their only hope for having a child that was biologically related to both of them. I was speechless. The audacity, the sheer nerve of them to ask this of me after everything they'd done. I laughed in their faces, thinking it was some sick joke. But they were serious. What's worse is that my parents are supporting this idea. They keep talking about how much they want grandchildren and how this could be a way for our family to heal. They're pressuring me to be the bigger person and do this for the family. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I wrong for refusing? Should I even consider this? The thought of carrying a child for the 2 people who hurt me the most makes me physically ill. But my parents' guilt tripping is starting to get to me. I need some outside perspective. Am I being selfish? Should I just get over it for the sake of family harmony and giving my parents grandchildren? Or should I stand my ground and tell them all to go to hell? Edit 1. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like this. Thank you all for your support and advice. I'm reading through all the comments and will try to respond to some questions. To clarify a few things. Yes, I've considered going no contact with my family. It's definitely on the table, especially after this latest incident. No, I haven't told my parents about the cheating. They know Tom and I broke up, but I never gave them the details. Sarah and Tom told them it was a mutual decision and that they got together afterward. I was too hurt and embarrassed to correct them at the time. For those asking about my current relationship status, I'm single. I've dated a bit, but nothing serious. This whole situation has made it hard for me to trust. Some have asked about my sister's infertility. I don't know the details, and frankly, I don't care. It's not my problem. To the person who asked if I'd consider being a surrogate for money, absolutely not. No amount of money would make this okay. Edit 2. Things have escalated. I'll post an update soon. Update. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented and offered support. Your words gave me the strength to stand up for myself and set some much-needed boundaries. After my last post, I took some time to reflect on everything. I realized that I had been letting my family walk all over me for years, always trying to keep the peace and be the good daughter. But enough was enough. I decided to confront my parents and tell them the whole truth about what happened with Tom and Sarah. I invited them over to my place, sat them down, and laid it all out. I told them about the cheating, about how I found Tom and Sarah together, and about the years of pain and betrayal I've been dealing with. To say they were shocked would be an understatement. My mom burst into tears, and my dad just sat there, stone-faced. They had no idea about the extent of the betrayal. Sarah and Tom had fed them some story about how they got together after Tom and I broke up, and my parents had believed it. At first, they tried to defend Sarah, saying she must have been confused or that maybe it was just a misunderstanding. But I stood my ground. I showed them text messages I had saved from that time, including some where Tom admitted to the affair. I even had an old voicemail from Sarah where she gloated about winning Tom from me. The evidence was undeniable. My parents were devastated. They apologized profusely for pressuring me about the surrogacy and for not being there for me when I needed them. They admitted that they had always favored Sarah, trying to fix her, and in the process, they had taken me for granted. It was a difficult conversation, but it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I felt like my parents were really seeing me and understanding my pain. But the drama wasn't over yet. The next day, I received a barrage of angry texts and calls from Sarah. Apparently, our parents had confronted her and Tom about the cheating. She was furious that I had ruined her life and her relationship with our parents. She called me every name in the book and threatened to sue me for defamation. I blocked her number and social media accounts. I'm done with her drama. Tom, surprisingly, reached out with an apology. He admitted to everything and said he regretted how he had treated me. He even offered to tell our parents the truth himself if I hadn't already. I appreciated the gesture, but I told him it was too little, too late. I wished him well but made it clear that I wanted no further contact with him or Sarah. As for my parents, they're trying to make amends. They've promised to respect my boundaries and have assured me that they won't pressure me about the surrogacy again. They've also decided to go to family therapy to work on our issues. It's a start, but I know we have a long way to go. I've decided to take some time for myself. I'm planning a solo trip abroad for a few months to clear my head and gain some perspective. I've also started looking into moving to a new city for a fresh start. To those who suggested I write a book about this experience, you might be onto something. I've started journaling and who knows, maybe this will turn into a memoir someday. For now, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. I'm proud of myself for standing up for the truth and for my own well-being. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Thank you again, Reddit, for giving me the courage to face this head-on. Your support has meant more than you know. Edit 3. A lot of you have asked about legal action. I've consulted with a lawyer, and while I could potentially sue for alienation of affection in my state, I've decided against it. The emotional toll of a lengthy legal battle isn't worth it to me. I just want to move on with my life. Edit 4. To those asking about my parents' relationship with Sarah and Tom now, it's complicated. They're not speaking to Sarah at the moment, and they've told Tom and Sarah that they won't be involved with any surrogacy plans. However, knowing my parents, I suspect they'll eventually try to reconcile with Sarah. I've made it clear that if they do, I'll be limiting my contact with them. Edit 5. Thank you for all the travel suggestions. I'm thinking of starting in Southeast Asia and then maybe exploring some of Europe. If anyone has specific recommendations, feel free to PM me. Edit 6. A few people have reached out about turning this story into a movie or TV show. While I'm flattered, I'm not ready for that level of exposure. Maybe someday, but for now, I'm focusing on my own healing. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and things have been eventful, to say the least. I wanted to share some of the fallout and challenges I've been facing. After confronting my parents with the truth about Tom and Sarah's affair, the family dynamics shifted dramatically. My parents, still reeling from the revelation, have been struggling to come to terms with everything. They've been calling me almost daily, alternating between apologies and seeking more details about what happened. Last week, they insisted on having a family meeting, including Sarah and Tom. I was reluctant, but they pleaded, saying it was necessary for healing. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The meeting was a disaster. Sarah showed up with a folder full of evidence, old texts and emails taken out of context, trying to paint herself as the victim. She claimed I had always been jealous of her and that I was exaggerating the affair. Tom mostly sat in silence, looking uncomfortable. I lost my cool. Years of pent-up anger and hurt came pouring out. I told Sarah exactly what I thought of her, called out her pattern of selfishness and manipulation, and told my parents how their enabling had contributed to this mess. The meeting ended with Sarah storming out, my mother in tears, and my father looking more lost than I've ever seen him. Tom tried to apologize again, but I shut him down. I left feeling drained but also somewhat relieved. It felt good to finally say everything I'd been holding back. In the aftermath, my parents have been doing a lot of soul-searching. They've started seeing a family therapist, and my mom called yesterday to say they're beginning to understand how their parenting affected both Sarah and me. It's a start, I suppose. On a personal note, the stress of all this has been taking its toll. I've been having trouble sleeping and my performance at work has been slipping. My boss pulled me aside last week to ask if everything was okay. I gave her a brief explanation, and she was surprisingly understanding. She suggested I take some time off to sort things out. That's when I started seriously considering a change of scenery. A friend mentioned that her company's Seattle office is hiring, and I've been toying with the idea of applying. A fresh start in a new city is becoming more and more appealing. In the midst of all this, I received a letter from Tom. He wrote a long, detailed apology, taking full responsibility for the affair and the pain he caused. He explained that he and Sarah are in couples therapy, working through their issues. Part of me appreciates the gesture, but another part feels it's too little, too late. I haven't decided if I'll respond. Sarah, on the other hand, has been on a smear campaign. She's been telling extended family and mutual friends her version of events, painting me as the bitter ex who's trying to ruin her life. It's frustrating, but I'm trying to take the high road and not engage. I've also been throwing myself into new activities to cope. I joined a kickboxing class, great for working out aggression, and a book club. It's been nice to have spaces where I'm not Tom's ex or Sarah's sister, but just me. As for the surrogacy issue, my parents have finally dropped it. They sent a group text to both Sarah and me, stating that they won't be involved in any surrogacy plans and asking that the topic not be brought up again. It's a relief, but it also feels like too little, too late. I'm taking things day by day. Some days are better than others. I'm proud of myself for standing up for the truth, but I won't lie, it's been tough. I'm considering increasing my therapy sessions to twice a week to help process everything. Thank you all again for your support. It means more than you know. I'll update again when there are significant developments. Edit, thank you for all the supportive comments. To address a few common questions. 1. Yes, I'm seriously considering the move to Seattle. I have a phone interview next week. 2. No, I haven't responded to Tom's letter yet. I'm still processing my feelings about it. 3. To those suggesting I expose Sarah's lies to the extended family, I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't want to sink to her level. I'm trying to take the high road. 4. Several people have recommended meditation apps to help with sleep. Thank you. I'll definitely check them out. It's hard to believe it's been a year since my last update. Life has a funny way of surprising you, and I wanted to share how things have unfolded. Seattle has become home in ways I never expected. The job I took has been challenging but rewarding. I've been promoted to team lead, and I'm currently working on a project that could have a significant impact on the company. It feels good to be recognized for my skills and hard work, especially after feeling so lost for so long. Alex and I are still going strong. We moved in together 3 months ago, and it's been an adjustment, but a good one. He's patient, kind, and understands my need for independence. We're talking about the future, marriage, kids, but we're not rushing. After everything I've been through, it's refreshing to be with someone who respects my boundaries and supports my growth. The book I started writing has evolved into something bigger than I anticipated. What began as a memoir has turned into a self-help book for people dealing with family betrayal and rebuilding their lives. I've been working with a literary agent, and we're in talks with publishers. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. My relationship with my parents has improved significantly. They've continued with therapy, both individually and as a couple, and the change in them is noticeable. Last month, they visited for a week, and it was the most relaxed I've felt around them in years. They've apologized again for their past behavior and have been making consistent efforts to support me and respect my boundaries. As for Sarah and Tom, I've maintained my distance. I heard through my parents that they're still together but struggling. Apparently, the fertility issues have put a strain on their relationship. Part of me feels a twinge of schadenfreude, but mostly, I just feel indifferent. Their lives are no longer my concern. The women's shelter where I volunteer has become an important part of my life. I've started facilitating a support group for women dealing with family betrayal. It's been incredibly rewarding to use my experience to help others. I'm even considering getting a degree in counseling to take this work further. Personally, I've continued to grow and heal. The kickboxing classes I started as a way to work out aggression have turned into a real passion. I'm training for my first amateur competition next month. It's given me a sense of strength and confidence I never knew I had. I've also reconnected with old friends and made new ones here in Seattle. My support system is stronger than ever. We have a weekly game night that's become the highlight of my social calendar. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. The pain and betrayal I experienced will always be a part of my story, but they no longer define me. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, the power of speaking my truth, and the joy of rebuilding a life on my own terms. To anyone out there facing a similar situation, know that healing is possible. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but with time, support, and a lot of self-work, you can come out stronger on the other side. Thank you, Reddit, for being there during the darkest period of my life. Your support gave me strength when I needed it most. Here's to new beginnings and the beautiful uncertainty of the future. Edit, thank you all for the overwhelming response. Your kind words and support continue to amaze me. To address some common questions. 1. The book is tentatively titled Rising from the Ashes of Betrayal, A Guide to Rebuilding Your Life. We're aiming for a release next spring. 2. Alex and I are planning a trip to New Zealand next year, a dream we both shared when we first started dating. 3. For those asking about my parents' relationship with Sarah, they're in limited contact. They've set firm boundaries with her, which has been a big step in their growth. 4. To the person who asked if I'd consider having a child for my parents to make up for the grandchild they're not getting from Sarah, absolutely not. My body, my choice. 5. Yes, I still have tough days sometimes. Healing isn't linear. But the good days far outweigh the bad now. Thank you all again. This community has been an incredible source of support throughout this journey. Wishing you all the best in your own journeys of growth and healing.